Welcome everyone to the next episode of Impactables with Rishabh. Today we have Mr. Vijay from Fractal. Welcome Vijay.
Hey, hi, Rishabh. Nice to meet you.
Same here. So you have very interesting journey. When I was reading across all your journey over the time, you were dentist, then you went to do lot of other things. Then now you are AI engineer, good architect working in healthcare space. So if you had to explain someone who is a non-tech person today, your friend, doesn't understand anything about healthcare and AI, how do you explain?
Oh, interesting. See, healthcare heals people, so you can feel it. You remove a disease out. AI brings in something which you can do the same thing at 100 people scale or 1000 people scale. But the journey is more about, I think your journey, I saw Rishabh, is as impressive and even more impressive. That it's just about discovering the next thought, figuring out what it can deliver, and then keep adding more and more. So healthcare and AI to me is more about how do you take the empathy of how we talk to each other and how we care about each other, how we treat each other, and how do we do it at a scale, significant scale. So AI is definitely a logical next way to scale this to a million times, billion times.
Interesting. But over the years, like it's been 20 years for you. You worked in a consulting company. You worked as a lot many other sector also. But now when you see in healthcare, AI is coming. What is the transformation in terms of entire industry for individuals, for doctors, or so consultants, people who are working in the operators part actually?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question because glad that AI is coming into healthcare the last. I mean, in a way, you talk about AI now, it's not and real AI in action. I always feel healthcare is just the most beautiful transaction between a patient and a doctor, right? Or a doctor and nurse and a patient, right? It's just a caregiver. Now, these are the only two people in the center of the universe. And surrounding everything is all the people around, right? It could be finance, it could be marketing, all of that. Now, what is happening is that relationship is very pure. And that relationship is trust-based. And there is enough evidence to say, research-wise, that if you are available as a doctor for patient, the trust increases. So there are three qualities: available, offable, and able. So if you're available, you're likable, and you are talented, then the patient starts building the trust. Now, this is the way the whole backbone of healthcare got built over time. And now we are saying it's a $300 billion industry. It's a part of percentage of GDP, all of that. But it's that center sanctorum relationship that evolved over time. Now that's broken also. I mean, as we scaled, as we took healthcare to buildings, right? This relationship moved into buildings, and then it moved into digital corridors. And during COVID, we saw it move between screens. We actually did not value or we underestimated the power of the trust. It actually cut down on a lot of trust. Now, the good news is AI is able to bring that back. How? The other day I was on there was an orthopedician I happened to meet, and he said, why don't we go to the hospital together? I said, okay, fine. I was going from his home. And he said, okay, come over in my car. So I left my car in his place, and the distance between his home and his hospital is about 25 minutes. But in the 25 minutes, he just took the phone, he just did a video call with all his patients whom he operated. And there was a auto recording of their concern, what happened, discussions, all of that. And he used simple ChatGPT to whatnot, and he had built out a couple of applications which spoke about what's the mood of the patient.
Okay.
What's the tone of the voice? How is the patient feeling? And once the call was done, the call was just 5 minutes. A report went back to the patient.
And for every patient, different.
Different. And the notes were aimed at giving those notes, like for example, an elderly lady who had undergone a knee replacement, and he spoke to her in her native language. And the report went to that elderly lady's son or daughter to say, she's healing well, help her here. And that report was auto-report. It was auto-generated.
And he didn't have to waste his time in writing.
He didn't have to. So that's when I was surprised. I mean, one is about talking about AI, the other about seeing and witnessing how people are using it.
In small things.
In small things. And in many ways, I was totally inspired that this guy, in that 5 minute of interaction with that patient, in a 25-minute journey to his hospital, touched all the patients he operated. So he could rebuild his bond. And in the context of, I mean, there is no AI there in meeting and video, but the report was AI generated. That report was aimed at that patient's daughter, spouse, right? Unke liye bhi that person also felt comfortable. So in that 5 minutes, he built so much of trust. And this is what gets missed out in healthcare, right?
Correct.
You operate as a surgeon, you are so busy operating, and I've seen some knee surgeons operate about 6 to 8 patients a day, and you're doing it every day and 24/7. You have lost touch with your old patients. But just imagine this 25 minutes gave all that touch back to him, trust back to him, and that sanctum sanctorum is taken care of. I think that's the power of AI, that you are able to have a compounding effect of that same 5 minute time, and you're able to rebuild everything and go beyond also. So with that patient, he could rebuild trust. With the family, he could, I mean, it's like experience for them. Oh, yeah, I reported my mother's. And it was even vernacular somewhere, like based on the language they came from. One of them was from West Bengal, and he had sent it in Bengali, the report. So much is happening because of AI and tech, right? So that's the
But
magic.
does it not creating errors also? Like there will be some, because
Yeah.
this in programming or in development,
Yeah.
if errors are coming, we can resolve it. It will not create that much of destruction. Something will happen in the server, something will happen in deployment or the product.
Yeah.
But chalo, it will not take anyone's life. But in healthcare, the margin of error should be nothing actually.
Yeah.
So do you see that errors are coming in, how people are reacting to that errors, how to resolve that errors over the time?
So what you're saying is very fair, Rishabh, that the difference between healthcare and any other is you're playing with live humans and living beings, and an error can cost life, right? And life is precious to us. That being said, the stakeholders are beginning to understand where to use AI, where to believe, and where to not. So I have seen again, another situation, and again, it happens to be coincidentally an orthopedic situation. So he doesn't use, while you have now robotic surgeries. I mean, robotic surgeries itself are very fully automated, and the surgeon is using. So there's a lot of technology already going in. Where he's using AI is after you're done with the surgery, right? You are learning to come back walking. Where normal walk has to resume, right? He's using AI to understand the walking patterns of the person to recommend what should be the physiotherapy treatment. And there is a kind of a prescription that comes out which is based on AI recommendation and simple recommendations on basically different people have different styles of walking, right? We have different ways to place our left leg, right leg, and all of that. So it gives you, okay, if you happen to recover this way, this amount of physiotherapy exercise, this way of walking, you're likely to recover quicker. He looks at that and then prescribes this to a physiotherapist. And with time, if there is a need for change, both end up changing and altering the response. So what has happened is we built a relationship where it is not about AI making a decision versus me making a decision. It's about together, how are we improving our old decision, right? So this doctor is now building a layer, and then together he's saying, okay, how do we move?
But people don't use unnecessary AI over here, just like other sectors.
Yes.
We can say this.
Yes. So that's an interesting thing. When hype happened, right? Like when, for example, that image generation became a hype. I hardly saw healthcare folks getting tempted to those because for them, they've got used to a normal routine cycle. They're not really excited about generating images 100 and suddenly now if you see there's no generation of images, become stable, right? They are somehow not vulnerable to these hypes. And that's why healthcare is always on the low burner. You don't see healthcare. But there's enough of statistical evidence to say the healthcare ecosystem, the members of the healthcare system, the nurses, doctors, technicians, right? They are the ones who are highest adopters of technology. And that's an irony, right? It's like, and it surprises many of us. But that's a fact because they look at long term. They don't look at small motivation stints. They look at how do they embed. And it also takes time to embed these into your daily workflow because you have to alter your day now, patient by patient, right? Unlike somebody who just has to bring in an app, download, use it. So it's not like fill it, load it, and then run it. This is about you have to bring that whatever is a new technology or AI in this case, any app or decision making support, and you need to repeat it to multiple times in the same day. So they take time, but adoption goes very high over time.
Interesting. So like you had been working with so many engineers, system architectures, lot many other teams like over the years. So like how do you define people role and able to work with them closely to make sure that the product or the solution which you are building is up to the mark in the healthcare industry, because it's, there should not be any errors in any department. That's very critical over here. And it's not that any data we can, instead of 2 we can write 3. It should not happen over there. So any button we cannot move here and there. So how do you ensure that over this entire architecture flow, what you're building for any healthcare, working with different teams, is in the smoothest line altogether?
So I mean, in my entire journey, I call myself a misfit, and I like to be called a misfit. And what I mean by that is, you have to live the life of an engineer and feel that, and you don't have to be an engineer for that. So I'm a doctor by background. When I sit with an engineer and understand their emotions and what they're going through, you know what their motivations are, right? So in a way, that gives you a sense on what is the engineer trying to say in his or her part of work. Likewise, you sit with a doctor, you understand what does a doctor want, right? What is a doctor trying to solve for? You look at a nurse, you look at a finance person, you look at a marketing person. So for me, the most important part is to understand that person the way that person is. Now, for that to happen, you can't sit in a comfortable environment where you are, right? So I always like to be in a place where I am a minority. So my whole journey has been that way. I started my journey in a school where I was a teacher. Thanks to Siddharth, I joined for a coffee day school, and very inspiring journey. But I was the only doctor in a setting where others were trained teachers. Then I moved on. So in a way, I've kept myself, like now I'm in an AI engineering setup for 4 years now. And I was the first person possibly in healthcare to step out of the comfort zone of being in a consulting and all of that and sitting with engineers all day.
Correct.
That gives you advantage to know how they see life. And my job is to bring all of these together. But the context for me is the patient, if I were to think about it.
Because one thing I'll add over here, because consultants not every time feel comfortable working with engineers actually.
Yes.
The thought process is very different.
We are very uncomfortable because we sit in our own rooms. So we need to mix and match like how you've done, right? I mean, the journey is never going to be, unless you understand that person in their world, it's not going to give you clarity. So you also end up enforcing something on that person and you have expectation on that person. But the way they look at life is very different. So for you to understand all of this and then see for whom are you serving, right? In healthcare, what happens is we often miss the central focus, which is that patient. Or we often miss the central focus, which is that doctor.
Correct.
We are all looking at everything else in like those elephant story, right? You're looking at different parts of the elephant in different ways, but you're not seeing the elephant at all. So somebody has to see the elephant and get this going. Right? For that, I think you should feel comfortable being in an uncomfortable environment. I somehow, by design, I've enjoyed it. And it gives me more confidence to engage better also, right? So it improves my thinking. I don't fear missing out.
Did you practice dentist work also?
Yeah, I did practice for a year. So dentistry was interesting. I was inspired by my aunt, so I became a dentist seeing her. So I was in my class of dentists who joined in. Everybody were asked, why you joined dentistry? It's like, I didn't get MBBS seat, I joined dentistry. I didn't get MBBS. Mine was a total opposite. I liked dentistry because I liked my aunt, and she was an amazing dentist. So I joined in. I practiced for a year, but I didn't actually leave dentistry because I had to leave. I just happened to meet the founders of the school called Amber Valley. And one of them happens to be Vijay Siddhartha, the founder of Cafe Coffee Day.
Okay.
And when I met these folks, these people, they were like amazing inspirers. So I said, okay, let me go and learn. And I had to move to a place called Chikmagalur, which is like tier 5 town, 6 town at that time. I just moved the opposite. Right? People come from smaller cities to bigger cities.
For farming coffee from there, or like studying about that.
And they started a school there.
Okay.
And I was mesmerized by the vision he had, that the school is about how do we bring all the education to people in the planters community, world-class education, and hold your cultural heritage roots. So I've been happy moving in that spaces, and it has given me that. So the fact that I keep doing it, it gives me more value.
See, there's one interesting thing you always say is like love, not just tolerate.
Yeah.
This is one thing you say.
Yeah.
And why do you think that many AI tools in a company, like obviously some people start loving the tools actually, but some become intolerable also at times.
Yeah.
Nowadays, AI is like that only.
Yeah.
There's something which you like a lot about the product, but certainly they start misbehaving with the things, and suddenly you move to another.
Yeah.
but people still stick to that.
Yeah.
It's just like you are having a certain toxicity with that particular person, but still going to that particular person. So how do you think of this particular?
See, I mean, it again goes back to the principle that you had said, right? Like, if you love, do it, else don't do it, right?
Correct.
That's one. And we make peace with everything. We make peace with city, we make peace with road, we make peace with spouse, we make peace with kids, right? So in a way, if you really see value in the tool or in the AI, whatever it is, in whatever format it is, then you continue to stick around, right? Then you know what are the limitations of the tool or the product or the medium, right? So I feel like we find a balance. But the problem is when people bombard you with a lot of marketing gimmicky, and then it's like I remember I picked up one of those AI, I downloaded an app and it had a AI conversation about astrology part.
Correct.
And suddenly it went very intimate, saying that what is your spouse's, what is, by the way, what is your spouse's star, birth star? I was like, okay.
Why this is going with it?
So in a way, I was like, why are you going away from, right? So and after that, that's the first and last time I used an Astro app I just came out. I'm like, why are you interested in my wife? And you need to understand me. Right? So some of these, the liberties, creative freedoms are given when you earned a certain trust. Google Maps, right? We've so trusted today that, and Google has
if they will take us anywhere, I will go there.
We will go. I mean, the trust is earned. I will regret if I went into a wrong path, which we do go. But once the trust is earned, I think we let go. We just give and take. It's like.
But in this all things, there's something very interesting also coming in the market, which is called preventive healthcare, longevity.
Yeah.
These two terms, I would not say it's a buzzword now. Yeah. It's very deep researched kind of a word, and people are focusing very much, putting a lot of time in doing this. Some have just misinterpreted this also. The reason being of misinterpreted, I understood, is like there's not enough education about these particular words. And neither people are educating because it is not fully performed or fully proved model as of now, I believe that. Yeah. And people started misinterpreting and the wrong information started flowing.
Yeah.
So when you guys, as in the healthcare industry, when you see that such kind of wrong information, wrong misinterpretation, because no one is spreading the information. By seeing the words, people are misinterpreting. How do you see that this will get better in upcoming times?
So over the last few months, I started working on this concept of what is called the changing healthcare order.
Okay.
And I got inspired by Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. And I feel we are at a point in time where the next 15 to 20 years of healthcare will evolve very differently from what it was before. And what is happening is it's a frustration of people in terms of them not getting what they deserve is making them become the producers of healthcare ideas. So if you see longevity, you see genomics, you see proteomics, food, nutrition, all of these founders are not core healthcare folks.
Correct.
Right? It is their own frustration in life that, hey, I have not got what I deserve as a medical care. I have not got what I deserve as insights for me to lose weight. Or I have not got what I deserve for insights to improve my life. Right? Now, when these are all happening, they take it upon themselves and say, if I'm a victim of the same problem, let me figure it out. Which to me, Rishabh, is a brilliant start for us. Because this ecosystem of people who are unforgiving of themselves and want to scale that same problem, solve the same problem that they are facing and others are facing, and they want to take it head on, is a brilliant move. But where we need to figure out is a way to make this part of the workflow. So that's where the changing healthcare, what I'm observing. Now, preventive is just a symptom, right? I mean, it's a segment you're talking about.
Okay.
Longevity is just a segment, it's a symptom.
Symptom.
But the larger thing that's shaping is the need to redo this whole building blocks of healthcare. And now these are the new modules available. So think of it like we are building different modules, and everybody is building those modules out of love, anger, frustration, and the best model or module will survive. So if there are 5 people doing longevity, with time, one of the best model of longevity will survive.
Right? Happened with protein items actually. The way protein products are being launched in India now.
Yeah. And so in a way, that's exactly how it's happening. Now, all of these blocks will compete within themselves, right? So you will have home healthcare, 10 operators competing with each other to get the home healthcare right. And then you will have on the other end AI healthcare, like 10 operators fighting it or 100 operators fighting. Eventually, in the next 5 to 6 years, they will get engulfed into the main workflow of managing a person. So then what happens? You are shifting the full focus on the person from illness. So I don't have to fear about me getting a heart attack and getting hospitalized.
Okay.
Rather, I will be prevented from getting a heart attack because someone is reading my signals. And I will be straight away.
Got it.
So in a way, what will happen is, think of the situation, right? You are wearing a small wearable and we are doing this podcast, and somewhere my heart rate is going up and somewhere something is uncomfortable happening. And there is a signal being tracked that I'm likely to have a certain cardiac problem. There'll be an Uber car waiting for me outside, which will straight away take me to the hospital. Okay. And this will become a part of the workflow. So in a way, you forget this whole
panic situation of like
exactly.
Someone is seeing you, calling the ambulance, and then
exactly. And when you're doing this, what I call command center care evolves. So I went through this in Baltimore in US. A patient had a massive accident and head injury, and the patient was shipped into the ambulance. And the hospital, John Hopkins Hospital, one of the best, finest in the world, is about 200 kilometers away from that spot. By the time that ambulance reached the hospital, a doctor was onboarded, a neurosurgeon came into that vehicle. There's a command center care that was happening virtually, and the patient actually recovered from that havoc. Instead of getting admitted in the emergency department, the patient got admitted in the ward. So think of someone in India now. You fall on the road, you meet with an accident.
If you treat it over there only, you will not be going to the ICU.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I see will happen over the next 15-20 years for every condition. It's not just a road accident.
Because half of the people, what I also realized, they don't end up in ICU because they met with an accident. It was delay in reaching to the hospital because the blood outflow or because you have been exposed to that particular like breakage in your body or like for a longer period of time. That is the main reason which I understood. But
so you heard of the concept of golden hour, right? Like in cardiac, they talk a lot about it. Actually, the golden hour is for anything. Because imagine I had a episode where there was this simple thing like food poisoning and loose stools, and I'm struggling. That 1 hour, if I don't get to hospital, I'll get worse anyway.
Correct.
So the question is, the golden hour is the hour for every disease or every problem which is illness specific, right? If you can attack that illness in that golden hour, any illness, and you can bring AI and tech into it, then you don't need to drop into emergency room. You will walk into a ward because somebody has already managed you. So by the time you reach there, you are reasonably better off. I'm not saying, so now the point, right? AI can't cure a disease.
Obviously it can't.
It can only play with time, and by the time you reach that hospital, you are safeguarded. So the physical infrastructure will be there. The relevance of the physical infrastructure will completely change.
And over the time, do you think that this wearables segment in healthcare will increase? Like people either putting some kind of a tracking device in their wrist or someone putting something on their head, etc., wherever it is actually. Will that increase in adoption over the time for sending these signals which you talked about to their friends, family members, etc., and also to track themselves also? Do you think this wearable market, because nowadays, currently if I say in healthcare, if you want to get a body checkup done, I go a full body checkup done and I get home, I get a report. Instead of that particular thing, to see it will evolve into that a wearable, and then you keep checking all the parameters of your particular thing in a mobile application or something.
So I'm going to say something which might sound stupid or which might be fully contrarian, but you're used to something of that kind. So right now we have the option to choose a kind of a device or a wearable, and we are experimenting. All of us are experimenting. We have a watch, we now have something to even track your brain health. There are rings, someone is using a patch. All these are given to you as option, right? In few years time, as this tech matures, what we are trying to understand is, what are these able to help assess? Like what's the cost benefit analysis. We are doing the cost benefit analysis in many ways. Cost of having the device and the benefit of what does it help me signal early, right? So as part of that, you start seeing that watches are telling atrial fibrillation, which is like basically cardiac problem. It's able to detect high heart rate. It's able to detect sugar. It's able to detect. So all of these are very nicely culminating into one super sensor eventually that will be planted in us. And now Neuralink is one example. I mean, this is Elon Musk's brainchild. Neuralink is one small chip planted inside your brain.
Okay.
It's just kept outside your skull. Simple. I mean, you just plant it inside. So we will take all of these, miniaturize it, and take it into the body. Now, what will happen is every person who's born will be having this chip embedded in. It's almost like, think of it like I have a car, you have a car now. All our cars are smart cars. The chip is all embedded in that. The health of the car is not, I mean, we're not attending to the car when it's broken down. We are attending to it much before it is broken down, right? So we get an alert on fuel. We get an alert if engine has a problem. In fact, the customer call center calls me sometime when my car is two of the tire are de-inflated significantly, because they know exactly the status of my car, right? That's exactly how human health will be looked upon, because it will become very expensive to treat a disease going forward. It's very expensive even now. So the alternative is to treat the problem much before it happens and becomes a disease, which is going to be very expensive for the whole
But
system.
that will also lead to the decrease of the revenue of lot many streams in the healthcare department.
It will. So what will happen is, I always call healthcare and education as a $0. Nobody wants to spend.
Correct.
If given an option, education is still, you want to spend on it and you feel good about it. So in a way, you feel good that, okay, if I invest on my MBA program, I'm likely to get a bigger
job.
Yeah. But in healthcare, nobody goes to hospital thinking, if I invest my time and get hospitalized, I will add 10 years of my life, right? You don't have that feeling. And the moment you keep your leg inside a hospital, you want to come out of it.
Correct.
The earlier you want to come, right? Second, you always talk to the billing team to discount. So nobody wants to spend money on healthcare. My reading is healthcare will go free. Fully free. It will be subsidized by other things. Like the data I generate. Right now, the moment I have a thing, I will generate some data and the data will fall in. So in a way, opposite will happen, where you're paid as a person. So like what happened to Google search or any of these, right?
So now coming to you also mentor a lot of startups. Like I've seen you've been mentoring a lot of startups. Like, what is your favorite domain which you like to mentor, and which all areas you think that you would want to improve in the healthcare department as a whole in the upcoming 10-15 years?
So with startups, what I feel comfortable, I've started working on with different people, is those who are not in healthcare, who love to contribute. I love those people a lot, because they come with a very open mind. And if I was sitting inside if I'm sitting inside a hospital, I'm more polluted by my own biases. So in a way, I say, nahi hoga yaar, nahi hoga na, nahi hoga, right? Whereas a person who's coming from an outside, they're like, hoga, but they are figuring out kaise hoga, right? They're figuring out the route. So with these founders, I like the way they're thinking, and my job is to say, will it work, not work?
Okay.
And where will it likely work the most? Which is where founders are struggling. That I have an idea, which is very exciting idea, but how do I put it to use? Is patient going to benefit maximum? Doctor going to? Nurse going to? How does it get consumed, right? That how does it get consumed is a very difficult thing unless you're sitting with them. So I focus on that and try to see if we can make it real so I don't really work too much on tampering with the idea, because that is the pure, it's like you don't tamper with someone who's a script writer, right? That is their script, that's the heart of theirs. But how do you bring it to life in a context which we call product market fit? But I don't want to call it product market, I would say product idea to real, right? Idea to real fit is what I see. Because if I see a lot of founders, they're not creating products, they're creating things which will really, service and products. And that combination is very pure. So how do you fit that in the context of real life is where I'm working on. And so most often it is about understanding the patient workflow, journey, pain points. It's about reprioritizing and then saying, okay, this is where you're. So I answer a lot of so what. What and how is sorted. They have the best way to
Okay.
I ask a difficult question. So what is it that you're trying to achieve, right? That's the one. And then how to
Achieve.
it. So this so what and how.
What they want to achieve, it is okay.
Yeah. And that we don't have any. I mean, the purity of the founder is incredible. Like your purity of your form is, I mean, the way you have visualized your journey and you have built your and Pixel is purest to you. If I come and give you gyan on that, it's your
I will listen.
experiential learning. You will listen, but you will say, "Yeah, I've gone through more difficulties, man." You're just saying it in few minutes, right? But if I were to say, it's like, can you take this, Rishabh, and put this in this context? Then you might love to say, "Oh, I have not solved this problem."
Correct.
In this place, right? So
interesting. So over the years, like you worked with different industries, like how do you saw that your leadership skills, like when you talk to people, because now different segments of your work might have worked with millennials, some are Gen Zs also now. Some people will come now more Gen Z than before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is Gen Alpha, I think, na?
Alpha. My
Gen
daughter
Alpha.
is. This is Alpha, Beta, now Gamma, Theta.
So Gamma, Theta.
Yeah. They're all. See, behavior-wise.
Behavior-wise.
Yeah.
So like, you will be obviously working with Alpha also in few days.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think that in balancing all these three, millennials to Gen Z to Alpha, you as an individual try to keep balance, but by not changing their identification and the type of behavior what they have over the time?
Yeah. So, I mean, one is we have to change, like I have to change myself, right, in the context.
Correct.
If I don't change myself, then I am still the zombie. That's one. Second is I have to also respect the other person as much as I see in me, right? So it's not like a one-way traffic. What is happening is if the energies are different and if you don't match, if you're not in the battle of arguing between your energy versus the other person's, my thinking versus the other person, rather see what is all this sum totaling to. So if your search is beyond how do I add these and then take it to there, right? Then you are no more worried about the right answer. You're figuring out, okay, this is making sense, because every generation is bringing something new, right?
Correct.
Like Alpha is very direct, like direct on the face. That this is not good. This is good, which is very good. It helps you make a faster decision. So see what is the best part of that and start. And it's a lot of conflicts. I mean, it's never going to be non-conflict, right? We do have conflicts. We will. So accept the fact that you will have some bad day.
Correct.
You leave the room with a lot of uncomfortableness.
Exactly. So, but in this whole journey of what you have seen in the healthcare, in 20 years, lot many things came. In upcoming 15, 20 years, more things will come.
Yeah.
What is one thing you still see that this is one particular problem which is still either people are trying to solved certainly, or is a bigger problem, but people are not solving it very quickly. Like in the healthcare industry as a whole, actually, what is that one thing which you have realized?
Trust. So one thing I figured out is I'm not even talking about trust between patient and doctor. I'm talking about trust between doctor and nurse, trust between nurse and technician, right? So diagnostics have improved, technology has improved, AI is coming in and all of this. A report is given to a doctor. Doctor looks at the report and says, "Nahi, ye to waste hai. I am actually the better person. I can make better decisions. The report is not in sync with what I'm thinking." Okay. So he ends up thinking in his own way. Now, medicine is a practice, right? You have so many pathways to a disease. So you have to think through a fever. There are 1,000 ways of reasons of fever, right? The doctor makes a decision on a particular type of fever. So I don't trust this report all the time. I make my own decisions. Once I made my decision, I'm looking at medicine. The medicines are not exactly matched to what I need. I then pick what the medicine works best. So there's a lot of gaps in trust
among all these players.
So if we can fix trust, someone can come and say, this is the right match between in the workflow, that I give you the right diagnostics, you make the right decision, there is a right medicine, and the patient feels, yeah, I got cured in half a day instead of 1 day, or I got cured with less damage than, right? Time is one, but with lesser problem than, then automatically healthcare will move in a very different orbit. Right now we have huge trust deficits, and that's one of the reasons why each one of us, include you, include me, if we need to if one of our family member needs a medical thing, we first go to WhatsApp, we go ask people, we go to search, we ask everywhere, right?
This is such a real thing which you are saying that I've started recalling that we do in this very regular day-to-day life. If someone has recommended us something, we will ask someone else also.
Yeah, ask someone else. We also ask someone else who has had experience getting treated by the doctor.
Correct.
Then we interview 25 doctors through this experiences. Then we narrow it down and then we make a decision.
And even if someone is going to surgery, a minor surgery, leave the major ones, they go to 3 doctors. If they have money with them, actually, they go to 3 doctors and they say, problem arise when I went with my father, actually, I went for that hernia operation, actually, hernia surgery. Someone said we will do laparoscopy, someone said we will do cut.
Exactly.
3 people said 3 different things now. I got confused.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's become very difficult for me also. Like, obviously, in a day when you can just do a hole, which is laparoscopy, and it can be cured and person can be walking very quickly in 5 to 7 days. Why to cut and do all those things in this particular era? So that become that time. It was recently only, last year only. So I got ultimately we went to Chennai, then we went to Vellore. Ultimately, I said him in the first day, Bangalore is best. Come here only. I am here. We will get it done over here. It doesn't matter about which hospital you are going. It's about which doctor it is there. And that is one scenario which you tell in the term of trust that started happening. Everyone says different thing. Their analogy. So structure is very good. The entire infra has evolved a lot over the time. But this is one thing is there.
So what you said, Rishabh, if I were to look at your behavior, for you, your dad is one life and a very important life. You can't get it wrong. So you will go do whatever it takes. Right? Even if it's hernia. Hernia is not a complex disease, but you will do whatever it takes to gain understanding. Unfortunately, in healthcare, there is this whole information asymmetry. The information that a doctor has is over 20 years of experience is very different to the experience you have on the same disease.
Okay.
And you can never match that information asymmetry. You can never ever, because it is experiential. Books can only tell you some, right? We play on that information asymmetry. So the only way you can solve this is when you develop a trust with a doctor.
Go with that.
That's it. Then now, over time, you know for sure, most people used to have family medicine.
Obviously, family doctor.
Right? Family doctor.
They will ask blindly everything to that particular person.
Lawyer, family lawyer, chartered accountant, family chartered accountant. So if you build trust and fix, you'll have a family doctor, like a family chartered accountant and family lawyer, all these 3 people. You don't have to really waste your time in this whole information.
And even if you're talking to some third person, that particular information that I'm going to pass to my family doctor, family lawyer, family CA.
That's it. And you just blindly trust them, but they have to earn the trust.
Correct. So it's over the time actually.
Yeah, and that is not easy. And that is where we are not solving.
And in India, if I see, I don't believe more than 1% have a family doctor.
Yeah.
It's very limited. Not even more 1%.
And family doctor is about being trained as a family doctor. So in a way, there's something called family medicine.
Correct.
And we don't have enough schools which are educating family medicine practitioners, because they are the ones who deal with all conditions and they know whom to refer to when.
And also they know that if my father, what disease my father had.
Yeah.
And what my child will. They know the history also.
Yeah.
This is where, and even if they have another person working as a junior in the company, they also pass that information. I have seen this in the bigger, like some privileged families, they have this mostly. In middle class, I have not seen this they have this. But this as a segment can evolve a lot over the time if this is being accessible to people.
Yeah, it will evolve.
Interesting.
I mean, family medicine will come back in a big way because you can never fix information asymmetry. It's like now that you went through hernia, understanding hernia, you can never master hernia, right? So why you did it? Because you never knew what is the right answer for it.
Correct.
And you were never convinced with any answer, right? So you're searching for the answer. So that can never be fixed even with more abundant knowledge. Even if I punch in billions of records in your brain and give you evidences, you will never be convinced, right? But if a doctor earned a trust or if a caretaker earned a trust with you, that person will become your comfort zone. And that person should be trained, made knowledgeable enough to decide which is the first thing to attend to. Like sometimes patients have both hypertension and diabetes. Should you go treat diabetes first or hypertension first? They know. So they know which one to treat first. Otherwise, you are not treating both or you're treating both and you're over indexing on a patient, and the person feels like कि क्या हो रहा है यार इतना दवाई दे दिया. So in a way that person becomes your
comfort zone.
that will come back.
One last thing, when you see upcoming things in AI as a whole and some kind of solutions people are building over there, what type of solutions do you want that people should focus much more in the upcoming days, which will eventually not solve a particular problem but will also support other functions of healthcare sector as a whole, like it can, as you said, tracking or anything? What do you think that one thing which people should focus more and that will eventually evolve the entire ecosystem?
So one is, I think we should focus more on what is the signal that we are able to understand out of it. Like today, if I take sleep, for example, there are enough apps that talk about sleep.
Correct.
They will give you some 200 parameters on sleep, right? The signal to me is not that. The signal to me is what is missing in my sleep. It could be the time at which I'm getting to bed is too late, or it could be I have some problems in my breathing, so I'm waking up multiple times. That's a signal.
And that is not being detected.
That is not being solved. I mean, it's being detected, but it's not being given importance. So what happens is, for example, I mean, I use a watch, I have a score. So I had a great sleep today, I have 94. I didn't have a great sleep, 54. Now, between 54 and 94, I have no idea how to make sense of it, right? So basically, I have bad sleep also, I have good sleep also, right? But if this signal to me is given that you have a problem in something where at that midnight of 2 o'clock you're likely to have less air in your brain, and you wake up because of that, I will go treat that problem.
Correct.
And that could be my sleep apnea. That could be that moment I treat for sleep apnea linked to something to do with my nose. For example, simple problem. I might have a nose, basically, like we have all these, our nostrils are straight, right? I mean, airways all. I might have a little bent nose, right? And that could be stopping me from breathing and at night in a particular posture that might be locked. That's a problem. The problem is not my sleep. If it gave me that signal that you have a problem you have a problem with the nose, go get it sorted. Then I might go and get my nose tested. Otherwise, just imagine any of us getting our nose tested because of our sleep was not good, right? If that signal comes in, I think we are, instead of drowning with too much of data to you and me, like you walked, okay, you walked 10,000 steps, okay. In that 10,000 steps, you have 6% asymmetry, okay. I mean, how much to keep giving you?
And one more thing, in sleep part only, many people snore a lot actually.
Exactly.
And no one says, why do you snore? People say he was tired, so he is snoring. But the cure for this one is not. People say you put this nostril that will do this and it will not. But that is not a solution.
That's not a solution.
It's not a solution. It's like it's very irritating if you put that, for example.
Yeah.
And ultimately, either it can be good for snoring is not bad actually, but some people have some disease also via that have a snore actually, some kind of a breathing problem, etc., or their nose gets jammed, etc. most of the time. But no one tells. Neither certain device is also there which states why the snore happens. And in India, I believe around 50% people snore actually while sleeping. So that thing is also one particular signal.
And we're not treating snore. I mean, so that's the point, right? You don't treat unless you measure. And once you measure, you need answers, right? So, okay, I got a score. Now what do I do next? So snoring gets highlighted in most situations only after some other thing is linked. For example, my sleep record says inadequate.
Okay.
Then I go search for snoring. Otherwise, we are all comfortable. We've been snoring forever. We don't even consider it as a unusual thing, activity, right? So we only talk about snoring when we went to a doctor and say, I don't have adequate sleep. My watch says something. My sensor says something. And the doctor says, oh, by the way, do you also snore? And say, yeah. And there is an immediate rejection. No, I don't snore. It's the spouse or someone who says, no, he snores or she snores, right? So we don't even treat snoring as a disease or a medical condition. So it only surfaces when something else gets highlighted.
And people also put it like this way, like I used to snore, but I am not snoring now. My sleep has been deprived due to. People put it that way, but people don't say it might have gone due to certain things. This is a bigger kind of a situation. I think people are not looking into this.
We're looking in pieces, like we're looking at meditation separately, sleep separately, we're looking at mental health separately, physical health separately, but we are now going to go through next 15 years where everything will come into a single where food is dependent on sleep, sleep is dependent on mental wellness, and all of these are dependent on your productivity itself. So when that becomes important, everything else.
I think someone who will watch this podcast, they should end up making something on snoring.
Yeah, take it seriously. Exactly, they should make something seriously and be able to say that that's now. The problem is not about fixing snoring, right? Once you fix snoring, the well-being of the person changes.
Exactly.
So that needs to be brought out, that what's the impact of such an activity, even attending to that, right? So that if that moment you're able to show value, then
With this, thank you so much, Vijay. It was lovely having conversation with you. Very interesting for me. I got to learn a lot because this sector obviously is we are across this healthcare. Doctors we see across every year something or the other, but we don't understand that deeply. And for me, it was very interesting, and for others also, it will be very interesting. Thank you so much.
no, thank you, Rishabh. I mean, what I like the most about is the search. We are searching for something, and the idea is that one human being has to feel good eventually, end of the day, right? So new infusion of ideas have to come, new brains have to come in, and we need to figure out how to make the ecosystem happen. So I mean, the fact that you're putting investment in time, energy, even interviewing people who are from healthcare, and otherwise you think you're a zombie, right? In healthcare, you feel like, oh, the archaic, kya kar rahe? What are they doing, right? So in a way, the fact you are respecting healthcare in that sense means that all of these will fall in place. So thanks
Thank
to
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.